Hey guys, and welcome to season 3 of the Us People podcast. I'm your host, Savia Rocks, and in this season, I get to make my guests laugh, cry, and even make them think about life a little differently with the questions I fire over to them, which digs into their lives and professions a little differently. We even had a chance to change up the intro, giving you a fresh, new sound. I look forward to sharing season 3 of the Us People podcast with you. Let's go.
Hey everyone, my name is Ivy. I promote diversity and inclusion at work in China and Asia. You are listening to Us People podcast with Xavier Wongs.
Made up my mind, now is my time to shine. Now is my time to shine. Time that you let go, time that you let go, now is my time to shine.
Hey guys, welcome to another episode of the Us People podcast. I'm your host, Savia Rocks, and today I've got Ivy Wong here with me, who is the co-founder of Diversity and Inclusion Consulting. Ivy, thank you so much for coming on the show again so we can re-record the Us People podcast. How are you?
I'm good, good morning. Thank you for having me again, Xavier.
She's got a coffee in her hand and she's ready to go. So Ivy, could you tell me a bit about yourself and where you grew up, but also how that influenced you to be the person who you are today?
Sure. Hi everyone, my name is Ivy, originally from Hong Kong. Have been in diversity and inclusion area for the last around 7-8 years. So 2017, I decided to move from Hong Kong to Shanghai. There's various reasons because one of the reasons is because as a person from Hong Kong, I don't really know much about mainland China, and also because my parents are actually from mainland China, and I felt that I should go to China to see how it is, at least from my own perspective. And the other reason is, I've been working in diversity inclusion, driving workplace inclusion in Hong Kong from 2015 to 2017, and when I look at China, it seems that the topic is quite new at that time, and but at the same time, a lot of companies wanted to talk about it. So I thought that I should try and see, what I can do and manage China, and that's why in 2017, 2018, I decided to move to Shanghai. Initially, I started as a volunteer in a community organization called Shanghai Pride, which was the largest LGBT organization at that time in China promoting LGBT inclusion. And at that time, there's not much workplace initiatives in mainland China, and I talked to the co-founder of Shanghai Pride, Shalin Liu, and then we start something small around workplace. So initially, we start around organizing workplace conference every year, inviting senior leaders, HR professional, D&I champions to share best practice on promoting LGBT inclusion within mainland China. Fast forward 2020, the co-founder of Shanghai Pride and I was like, oh, we see a lot of growing demand from companies, especially multinational companies in China. So why not just establish a business entity, a consulting, to see if we can, make it more professional. And so I think just before the pandemic, we established the entity. But then because pandemic, we didn't really do much for the first, half a year. But around June 2020, we decided to pull another conference job fair again, and things just took off since then. We do a lot. We work a lot with companies on driving, especially LGBT inclusion. But then, especially last year, we find out that actually a lot of companies do not really know what this diversity inclusion means in mainland China, and so gradually we decided to go back to step zero to really expand our focus or film, not just cover LGBT but also wider diversity inclusion 101, what is microaggression, unconscious bias, etc. And giving people, especially Chinese employees, tools and vocabulary, and also like a safe space for people to really ask questions and to clarify, what is it about within mainland China context.
That sounds really cool for you to actually go and do that. I know here in London, a lot of people still hide away, but it's a lot more open. You can actually be yourself. Whereas when I do travel to other countries, I do see the division. And it is disappointing that it's still like that today. It really, really is still disappointing. But with people like yourself, Ivy, I know that things will change. And we need a lot more people like you. Could you tell me, or could you define who you are as a person and who you see when you look in the mirror? But on the flip side of that question, could you tell me a bit about, has there ever been a time in your life where you have looked in the mirror and not recognized the person staring back at you? How did you manage to become and be the positive person who you are today?
It's a long question.
Yeah, it's a long one. It's a long one, Ivy.
I think there's one point. I mean, I'm still young, I'm just 30. I mean, but there's one point in my life that I really didn't really recognize myself. I think 10 years ago when I was, graduated from high school and entering university times. And I think at that time, a lot of things changed, especially, I, I start to kind of get out of the comfort zone or protection of high school, and then need to venture out the university. Everything has to be take care on your own, and you need to start to socialize, etc., etc. And I remember at that time also my grandmother is really really sick, and or really uh, at the end of her life, and at that time she actually passed away just a few weeks after I got into my university. And during that time, actually my first university actually wasn't my favorite major at the school at that time. And I was actually at a loss. I lost my grandparents, and I went into a university that I don't really like. I studied actually for 4 years, and then I was like, wow, I studied for nothing, because at the end I couldn't study what I want to study. And at that time also my boyfriend was breaking up with me, and I feel like
Oh
the
boy.
world is breaking down in front of me.
Oh.
And I think at one point I was asking myself, like, do I really want to spend? Because I got into a business school at that time, but I didn't really like it. And at one point after I started my university, I was asking myself, do I really want to spend 3 years studying a degree that I don't like, and also a degree that I probably someone would replace me? Because studying business, you don't really need a business degree to, for example, go into a business role. In the real world, you can study, chemistry. You can get a business role. So I was like asking myself, what am I doing at that time? And I really couldn't recognize myself, and then I started to talk to people, talk to my friends about an idea of quitting school and retaking, A level at that time. And people were like, "Are you crazy? A level is so hard. It's so hard in Hong Kong, especially. And why are
Ah,
you repeating it?" And also in Hong Kong, there's actually, and then they were like, "Oh, at least you have a degree." There are lots of people couldn't get a degree in
yeah.
university in Hong Kong, and I was like, "But that's not what I want." And I struggled a lot. And at one point, I was like, okay, if I imagine myself in that like nearing the end of my life, if I recall my life, would I regret not quitting the school and repeating, the A level, and get in and try again to get into the school that I want? And then the immediate answer is yes. I would definitely regret it if I didn't try again. And so at that time, I just, I didn't really tell a lot of people. I even quit social media because I didn't want to see my friends
Yeah.
enjoy their school life. And then yeah, and then I retook my A level, and at the end, fortunately, I got into the school that I want, and also the major that I wanted to study. And yeah, so I think because of this, incident, and also, looking back my school life and also my career, I'm always the one who listen to my heart, because I always know there are a lot of sounds of opinions about what you should do, what you shouldn't do. You should follow the path of the majority. But then I feel like I wasn't really kind of a majority person.
Aw.
I mean, when I look back, when I graduate, I don't even really go into like Big Four or go into straight to the graduate school. I actually took up consulting work that promote diversity and inclusion, especially on LGBT. And at that time, back in 2015, it's super new and very edgy, and no one really know what it's about. Um, and then 2017, when everyone want to go to the US, go to UK, and then I actually went to Shanghai. So I think when I look back, I think I'm a person who always venture out, and also I remember one friend who told me that, oh, Ivy, you actually enjoy going through difficult things or doing difficult things. I was like, yeah, I think so. I don't know. Because for my idea, like I always think that, well, if I'm doing things that people are doing, there's no value for me to do it.
Yeah.
And why I need to do that if everyone is doing it? It's not my purpose, but my value. And so I think the process from starting something from zero to step one, this process is very challenging. It's very difficult, but then somehow I enjoy it. And then after I establishing, the step one, and then go to step two, then I was like, oh, maybe I should try something else. So yeah, I'm a person who always make my own life difficult, and sometimes also make people around me difficult, especially, my parents, my family. Sometimes don't really understand what I do. Don't really follow what a typical Chinese girl should do in their life. But yeah, sometimes you can say that I'm selfish, because I just follow my own heart and fulfill my own, satisfaction. Um, yeah. So yeah, this is me.
No, it's
People
fine to me.
a person who take a venture, yeah, and makes my own life.
I think there's nothing wrong with being selfish sometimes, for you to go and do what you feel is best for not just yourself but other people, because other people are always going to learn from what you do, Ivy, and experience that. So there's nothing wrong with it. I think
Mm,
sometimes we feel bad if we're excuse me, if we are selfish in what we're doing. But to be honest with you, we all need to be a little bit selfish sometimes, for
mm-hmm.
our own souls and for our own sakes. There is one I would love to ask you, which is, if you could teach people about diversity and belonging, especially in the LGBTQ community, about standing up for themselves and believing in themselves, what would you say that you are passionate about that means a lot to you?
Okay, if I can teach somebody who do not know LGBT or diversity inclusion
Yeah.
at all, um, I think generally people, especially people from China or people from Asia, do not really know about diversity or LGBT inclusion.
Yeah.
And when people do not know it, they start to be against it. Somehow they defend themselves, I would say. And how they defend themselves, they start to attack other people. And then I think if I could ask people to learn anything, diversity, inclusion, LGBT, even people with disabilities, I would say that I would suggest people start to ask questions first,
Yes.
or start talking to a person from the community that you don't know. If, like, for example, start if you don't know anything about LGBT, start talking to someone who are from LGBT community. for example, if actually, even though I work in this area for more than like almost a decade, I don't really know what's going on. For example, transgender community and also intersex community, and I try to talk to them and ask them sometimes personal questions. If they are comfortable, they would be shared. And I think this process of asking questions is really, really um, important in learning anything, especially the LGBT community, because there's so much myths and misconceptions around this community, especially from China and Asia. People, in China especially, being LGBT is not illegal in China, so you can literally go into the street and say that you are from LGBT in China. It's fine. Homosexuality is not a crime in China, versus, for example, in Singapore, actually, homosexuality between men is a crime. So, in terms of legal, China is actually more progressive than Singapore in this.
Wow.
Um, and there's actually a lot of space, I would say, for to do stuff around LGBT inclusion in China, especially from the business community. There is a report from the UN saying that LGBT people face discrimination actually more from their family than from the
Yeah,
workplace.
that's true.
And so I was always telling people, when the media and also your personal life, your family is so against you, public workplace will be the next safe haven um, for the LGBT community. Because if companies are willing to put business, if you're willing to put LGBT initiative or LGBT inclusion as part of the HR strategy or recruitment strategy, is nothing wrong for companies to talk about LGBT inclusion in
Yeah.
China. So um, I think, yeah, at the end of the day, if you don't know anything, just ask, Google it and, talk to the people who know about it. And then this really helps in your own learning and also help people from LGBT community or, who are in this area to really understand what's going on in China. I remember one time, because in China we do a lot of diversity inclusion, LGBT inclusion 101 training to Chinese employees. And there are people. So we have this safe space. We create safe space by using Mentimeter,
Yeah.
an anonymous interactive tool for people to ask questions. So you can put out your question without putting your name. And I remember there's one person asking, oh, if there's any authority to verify that you are LGBT in China. So somehow, the people thought that you should have a certificate to verify that you're LGBT in China. So I would say, that's the understanding right now among the general people um, in China around this area. Sometimes questions are I would call it innocent, but at least they are willing to ask, and
Yeah.
and that's how I see the progress. Because if people are willing to ask questions, no matter how innocent it is, I always see that as a positive sign
Yeah.
to progress and improvement of understanding and also create a safe space for the LGBT community in China.
What was your earliest experience, Ivy, of being part of the LGBTQ community, or even something happening to you where you thought, oh my gosh, why is this happening? Or why are they being that way towards me, for example? What was your first experience of being part of the LGBTQ community, and how did it affect you?
Personally, my experience with the LGBT community is actually quite interesting
Yeah.
because industrially, when I started to work on LGBT inclusion, I start as a straight ally, meaning
Yeah.
someone who would identify as exclusively heterosexual, who will support the LGBT community. But recently, I actually, and kind of got into a relationship with a same-sex person. So right now, I'm sort of in a transition into a more a person. You may call me a lesbian, you may call me a bisexual, you may call me someone who is fluid. But then for the majority of my time is more like a heterosexual uh, ally, and I think my experience is, my experience. I'm just thinking from my experience in Hong Kong and also in China. I would say it's quite different because in Hong Kong, the climate, the environment is quite open towards LGBT people,
Yeah.
and the knowledge around LGBT people among general people, public is quite high, I would say. Especially from people who are working in multinational companies, they know basics around LGBT people in Hong Kong. For example, if it's legal, if they're mental illness, they will ask more advanced questions,
Yeah.
like, for example, question around transgender or intersex. Um, but of course, there is still people who would not know. For example, I remember when I was a student back in University of Hong Kong, when I was on the street, distributing leaflet promoting LGBT inclusion, people would ask me why I support LGBT people, and then they would say, "Oh, if you support LGBT people, then why don't you support people who, set fire to the house, who rob, who take drugs?" So there are people who compare LGBT people
Yeah.
with the people who are doing crime. Um, it's actually happened around 2013, 14, around 5 or 6 years ago. And when I come to China, I would say, um, of course, the general perception is, I would say, relatively low compared to Hong Kong, and people still asking a lot of different questions, and especially in China. Um, Doing events, organizing events, and promoting it is, I would say, is much more challenging than Hong Kong
Yeah.
because there's always last minute change in terms of
That's true.
venue, in terms of
Yeah.
promotion in the social media. I would say you need to think twice in order to organize just one event in China. But in Hong Kong, I was like, okay, just organize this talk with this company, and that's it. That
Yeah.
and then you do not need to worry anything. You just worry about if there's any people coming. But then in
Yes.
China, you're like, oh, you need to worry if people coming. You need to worry that if there's any authority asking questions, you need to worry that if the company are okay with it. Even if you promote it, you need to be more subtle to say that it's diversity inclusion. It's not really LGBT event. There's a lot of worries, in organizing events in China. But then it doesn't mean that it's not possible. It's just more challenging. But
Yeah.
there are still space, and then if you try harder, things can work, and it really
That's true.
depends if you are willing to try and to kind of sometimes shoulder all this pressure in China.
That sounds really cool. I'm glad that you're doing. I know it's difficult in every country to do something different, but there's also something that I did want to ask you. It's quite a hard question. In a sense, is what is the hardest question you have ever had to ask yourself that you had to be truthful about, especially when I know you were saying you were with a guy at first and transitioning over to being with a woman, and I know how difficult that can be because I've been in a situation too. So but in the sense of understanding it just for yourself, what is the hardest question that you have ever had to ask yourself and be truthful about that helped you to evolve and become who you are today and feel better about yourself?
I think in the last 6 months, I think I evolve a lot and I grow a lot, especially, I start a relationship with a person who share the same gender as me. And I start to realize the discrimination that LGBT people face, whether in China or even in Europe, or in a system in general. And because right now I'm actually in London, not in Shanghai. I was traveling around Europe in the last few months, and I think when I depart from Shanghai to Europe, people are asking me, why are you coming to Europe during pandemic? And they almost didn't want me to board the plane just because I was on a sort of a visitor visa. And when they asked me who I'm visiting, I was like, oh, partner. And in Chinese, 伴侣. But then this word is not really common in sort of inaugural communication. Sometimes you
Yeah.
just say boyfriend or girlfriend, or 男朋友女朋友 in Chinese. And so I sense that the people on the ground, the staff on the checking in counter didn't really understand, and then they keep asking, who are you visiting? And you need a letter from the embassy to invite you to come to Europe. And I was like, why? Why? But I have a freedom to travel. And this kind of things that I never experienced before. Well, I heard a lot, especially from people with the community. But then this is actually my first experience, to experience it, and I start to more understand it, and person how it feels like and what is it like. And I think a few weeks ago I was in this online course, with the Chinese community. So it's very local Chinese. Everything is in Mandarin, and it's a course on effective communication and relationship. And it's the last course that I attend online. And then during the last course, I need to prepare a graduation speech, and also I need to invite someone to kind of witness and be my guest for this course. And so, because my partner actually was one of the um, teacher or a trainer of this course, she actually recommended me to attend this course. And so, because of that, she just become one of my guests for this course. And then during the course, I actually need to introduce who she
Yeah.
is to me.
Yeah.
And I asked her, oh, how should I introduce to you? And then should I say you are my partner, like in English? Should I say, oh, you are my partner? And then she was like, I don't know, you just decide. And I was like, because this course, people have been doing this course. Other people have been saying that, oh, my husband, my wife, my boyfriend. And I was like, if I say my partner, it's quite neutral, but at the same time, it's very subtle and it's
Yes.
very
Yeah.
vague. Especially in Chinese, as 伴侣 in Chinese, and even partner in English, people probably would not understand. And I was like, oh, should I introduce my partner as partner, or should I introduce my partner as lover? Because in Chinese, 爱人, it's more common for Chinese people to say, to introduce your partner. And then so I was thinking, but I didn't really struggle a lot, because I was like, why people are able to introduce their partner as wife and husband, but why cannot I introduce my partner as lover? And
Yeah.
I just asked myself this question. I was like, why cannot? And I was like, okay, when is my time to introduce my partner? I was like, oh, this is my lover. And then I think there are some people who got shocked, because one time I out myself, and also at the same time I out my partner.
Uh-oh.
And then I don't
Uh,
I don't really apologize. I'm proud. I'm proud that she is my partner. She's my
exactly.
lover. I'm proud that I'm with her. I'm proud that we are together in this space. And I remember there's one person in the chat box saying that, oh, she's your partner is really really good, your supporter or something. And yeah, and that's it. And I like to enjoy, and now I think I like to enjoy shopping more. But
Oh, I
then
definitely do.
I feel good about it. I feel good that I can be myself. I feel good that I can introduce my partner as my lover in China. And yeah, so I think this is the first step that I accept myself and also accept my partner. And also, this is kind of a rehearsal for me to come out to my parents.
Have you come out to your parents? Did you tell
No,
your parents?
not
No,
yet, not yet.
not
I come out to my brother.
okay.
So it's very interesting. So I told my brother via WhatsApp group, WhatsApp message. I said, "Oh, I broke up with my ex
Yeah,
boyfriend."
yeah.
And then he was like, "Oh, why you break up with your ex? I thought that you loved him a lot." And then I didn't know what to answer. And then I wait. And then the next question he asked like, "Oh, your new partner is a girl." And I
Hey.
was like, I was shocked. I was like, how can my brother know? Because I
No.
didn't really put anything on social media. I didn't really talk to him. I didn't really leak anything, I think. And I was like, why you know? And then he was like, I don't know. I just thought I feel it. I just didn't tell you. And I was like, oh yeah, yeah. Yeah, it's the magic between a brother and sister. So somehow
Yeah.
he knew that I'm part of the bit. But then yeah, I mean before this relationship, I didn't really know that I am part of the LGBT. But then I don't really care because I think I've been in this community long enough that I treat myself as part of the
Yeah.
community, and I don't really reject the idea as well. And so yeah,
I like it. That's a good way. What about your parents? How do you feel about telling them when you do tell them? How do you think they're gonna react towards you?
I think I need a strategy telling them because I need to tell them a lot of things. Like for example, first I need to tell them that I'm moving to Europe, and
Okay.
from Hong Kong, Shanghai, going to Europe. I think this is one thing I already shout out because of the situation right now between Hong Kong, and around the world. And I think going to Europe is always my way. So I just sort of take the leverage the point of because of political situation right now. I think I need to immigrate to Europe. I think it's better for my life, my career, and then they support it. So this one step already done. So this moving to Europe thing is okay. I think the next step is introducing that I probably would move to Sweden, and
Oh.
and somehow move in with my partner. I think this may take some time. But then I'm still trying to find a way to sort of smoothly introduce it. But the way to deal with Chinese parents is I think at the end of the day they don't. I think I just guess that it's fine that as long as because Chinese parents is very practical. And they worry about if you're safe, if you are well taken care of, and especially if you have a house,
Yeah.
and if you have enough saving. And so we were thinking, oh, maybe we just buy a house first, and then after that we can tell them, oh, we are moving together in Sweden, and at the same time we got a house, and then this will help sort of buy in.
Yeah.
This and this is just my imagination. And yeah, we'll keep you informed of how this progress.
Yeah. Yeah. Let me know how that goes because that's definitely something I want to know. I definitely want to know how that goes with you. But I'm sure, regardless of what happens, I know that you're going to be happy in what you do. And
Mm,
because of what you're doing, you're going to have a lot of supporters supporting you in transitioning over to do whatever you want to do. So, Ivy, you've got my support. So,
thank you.
no, that's perfect. There is one question that I know I have seen around me, which is right now within a lot of countries A lot of countries don't protect, as you said, gay, lesbian, bisexual, transgender people from discrimination, which is what we've been talking a lot about. These people are still being treated unfairly and even getting fired at their jobs and their roles and denied housing, which we all know. How do you believe, as a community within different countries have different laws, yes, we know, but how can we as people, especially part of the community that we are in, help this to change and help these people stop being discriminated against? Because the people who have power have the power. How can we get to those people of power and say what you're doing is wrong? Because we all, love is love, like we all know. But how can we get to those people to make them change their minds, to give people an equal opportunity and chance so that they can live the life that they want to?
I think there are several ways. I think one way is to be visible. As an ally, as a straight ally, as an ally, as someone who are LGBT. Um, by, for example, posting on social media, posting on LinkedIn. Make sure people knows you. I think being famous is not really my thing. As an introvert, I never want to be famous. I never want to be so high profile. But at the same time, I know that if I want my voice to be heard, if I want people, the role model to follow, especially as in Asia or in China or Hong Kong, I need to be more vocal, and that's why last year I started to put myself up and also nominate my own myself to some awards. And I think one of the thing, getting famous is part of my job, so that people know that there are people out there who are supporting them. And at the same time, also for people who do not know this community, to ask questions. I think visibility is really, really important, because I'm a firm believer that people do not become what they cannot see out there.
That's true.
So I think it just takes some people like me and you to really step out of the comfort zone, to tell the world that we are out there. If you have any question, reach out to us. If you have anything against the community, also talk to us. We can always have a debate, have a conversation, have tea, coffee. So yeah, being visible is really, really important. And as I said before, if you are someone who don't know the community, just ask questions and talk to the people. And I'm sure that people who are from the community would be willing to answer any question
Oh, most
that you
definitely.
ask, and because they are thankful that you are willing to learn about the community, and um to try to understand the community. And so yeah, I mean it won't take it won't change overnight, but if each of us just do little small little things, one point at a time, then this ripple effect would happen, and make an impact to the community as a whole. um yeah, so I think don't underestimate your own power, I would say, your own influence, because even you just change one person's mind, it make a lot of difference, because that one person will start to talk to other people as well. So yeah, just do a small thing. uh, wear a rainbow badge, start to post something rainbow on social media. I start to ask questions, start to watch movies around LGBT community, and start to talk about it, because this is, I think, the easiest way for people to understand really the lived experience of LGBT people face in the society.
I like that, Ivy. That sounds really good. One thing I would love people to know more about you is, what's a day like in Ivy's life, from the moment you wake up to when you're doing your work for inclusion? diversity and inclusion, but also helping people. What is a day like in Ivy's life? I would love to know.
Oh, I got two life now.
Hey.
I would say now, right now, I'm still traveling Europe, but at the same time, my work is still focusing in China and Asia. Um, so I wake up very early. I wake up like 5 a.m., 4 a.m. or 5 a.m. to really and catch up with work China team. And so from 5 a.m. to like 10 or 11, I'm literally working, talking to people in call, chat, uh, and telling people how to do, for example, inclusive bias training, D&I training, planning ahead our events in June in Shanghai around promoting diversity inclusion, job fair, and also workplace forum. Um, and then after in the afternoon, I will be free to do anything that I want uh, in London, and mostly is watching movies, going to swim, and sometimes having dinner with friends. Yeah, and then in between, I read a lot of things around diversity inclusion or LGBT inclusion because
Yeah.
I need to keep myself, updated and informed of what's happening around the world and also especially in China, so that I can have, I can tell people, my clients, my stakeholders, what to do next. Yes, but then if I were in China, usually in the evening I would go out to attend some networking events. Keep keep reminding people that hey, I'm here in China. Find me if you need me. Use me, please. And
Oh.
and also to to drinks with my friends in the community to tell, especially during pandemic, people,
Yeah.
friends are now become the family in China, and so to make sure that everyone in the community is okay, is right, is safe, and physically and mentally they are doing well. So yeah, this is my thinking.
I like it. It sounds like a it sounds like a very positive day for you. It does, it does. It sounds tiring at the end of it, but it does it does sound positive. What is the best thing? What is the best advice you have ever received from somebody that has helped you in your life?
Wow, it's a big question. Big advice. I would say that when I look back to my 30 years of life, the best big advice is I don't listen to people. I don't listen,
Yes.
especially I don't listen to my parents. I think this is the biggest advice that I can tell because there are a lot of people telling you things that you should do or you should not do. But I mean, at the end of the day, your life is your life. You don't really People do not really
True.
know what you're going through, and people do not know that you're struggling. And people around you could just sometimes they judge, but then it's for them it's a leisure to judge you. So
Yeah,
you know,
that's
and
true.
so I think the thing is at the end of the day you should just when you sleep, before you sleep, when you're showering, I think what you can do is you reflect on yourself and what you're doing, if the things that you're doing is what you like, and at the same time, of course, I'm not saying that you always need to follow your heart, but then you need to make sure you know you're safe, you have a shelter, and also financially you are okay to do
Yeah.
what you want. And I think when you want to do something big, at the end of the day, you need to make sure that you have a buffer, so that you don't fall. When you fall, you don't fall so hard.
Yeah, that's
And
true.
the master hierarchy of needs, you need to the base. You need to make sure that you have a solid base and foundation. Basic needs. For example, if you are safe, if you're shelter, and then you are financially able to support yourself. I think especially to the LGBT community, when people are considering coming out to their parents, to their family, to their friends, it's not. I'm not saying that you always. I'm not saying that you don't come out, but then you need to make sure that you are safe when you come out, because especially in China or in Hong Kong, the there are chances that when you come out, people around you may discriminate you, even your own parents and your family.
Yeah.
And so make sure that you are independent enough so that when people reject you, you are able to protect yourself. I think this is really, really important. And because I've seen a lot of people who just, oh, I want to be herself. But then when they come out to the parents, they literally got kicked out
Yeah.
by their family in China. And then after that, they really suffer because they even didn't have a shelter to protect themselves. And so, yeah, I would say that, dream. And when you dream, make sure that your basic needs are okay, you're protected your own self, and then slowly and gradually and follow your heart, and then not do not follow the advice of family or friends.
I agree with that one. I definitely can relate to that one. When was the last time that you felt totally at peace with yourself, Ivy?
Oh, I would say I'm always at peace
I
myself.
like it. I like it.
I just I mean I'm very fortunate and I'm very privileged. I'm educated and I'm from a middle class family
Yeah.
in Hong Kong. I have two brothers, elder brothers, in front of me, so I do not really worry. I do not need to worry about my parents. My if and my family, my grandparents, if things happen to them, I always know that my brothers would help, would step in, and of course, at least I am not on my own. So I think I'm
Yeah.
really really lucky on this, and I would say that every day in the morning when I wake up and every day at night when I sleep, I'm really at peace. I'm really happy, and I would say I'm grateful for what I have, and that is the reason why that kind of push me or motivate me to give to people, because I know that there are people out there who are not as lucky or fortunate or privileged as me, and
It's
I
true.
want to share this to people even before that, when I was not when I was exclusively heterosexual, I still wanted to support the community because I hear them and I feel them and I want to help. And I think that's as simple as that. And yeah, so yeah, this is me. I'm grateful, and actually in my name, in my Chinese name, I have this. My Chinese name is Wong, and the last character of my name is to be grateful. I think that's what my mom
Oh,
wanted me to, and
I
and
like that.
I always bear this in mind. And so yeah, I'm just really really lucky.
I like that. I like that. And I like the ending of your name as well. I didn't know that. That's a really nice thing to have.
Thanks, my mom.
Oh, okay. Thanks, Mum. Oh, so Ivy, I only have two more for you. And my second to last question is, when you've done everything in your life that you feel has been a contribution to the world, how would you like people to remember you? Basically, what would you like your legacy to be as a human in this planet?
Wow. It's fine. People don't remember me actually. Honestly.
Yeah, I say that too,
Really
actually.
care. It's, I don't know why it's so deep. This question. I didn't think about it. Um, when I last year I got two awards, and I was kind of sometimes I got ashamed of getting this award, because especially um, as a Hong Kong person, grew up in Hong Kong and work in China, I would say there are a lot of people out there who are more deserve the awards than me, because as I said, I'm just a privileged person who happened to be, working in this area and happened to be able to get the awards and represent the community. And I know that on the ground in China, there are a lot of people out there who are Chinese, grew up in China, who go for a lot of challenges and struggle, deserve the awards than me. And so yeah, and then last year when I got those awards, I was like, this award is not only for me, but also for the community, especially Shanghai Pride, who have been, advocating and promoting LGBT inclusion in China. So I don't know how I want people to remember me. It's fine that people don't don't need to. I don't know. I never think of it. It's okay. I mean, right now, as long as I'm alive, I know that I'm making impact. I'm making the influence. People see, especially young people, see what they can become. I think already is enough for me. I'm happy already.
That sounds good to me. That definitely sounds good to me. Ivy, before I have the pleasure of thanking you for coming on the show, I would love for people to be able to find you on all your social media platforms. Could you let us know what is the best social media or whatever you would like to share with us on where people can find you?
Oh, the easiest way is find me in LinkedIn. You can just Google Ivy Wong. And then, for example, LGBT in China, already I think I will come up first few search. Not sure is it fortunate or unfortunate, but then yeah, just if you have any question, ask me around China, Asia, LGBT or diversity inclusion work. Just send me a message in LinkedIn. I'm always there. I reply very fast, so yeah.
Cool. Ivy, I want to thank you for coming on the show and coming on. Ivy came and back to record the show. I really wanted Ivy to come on the show again because it's such a beautiful thing to be able to share with you what she does and how she does it in the world. Ivy, this is my chance to say thank you so much for coming on the Ask People podcast. You have been a great guest. Thank you for sharing your wisdom, your kindness and your sense of humor. It's been absolutely great. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me again.
No, you're more than welcome. And guys, thank you so much for listening to the Ask People podcast. And please remember, you can subscribe on Spotify, iTunes, Google Play, and any other platform that you prefer listening to. Please also follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. And you can also donate to the Ask People podcast by simply going to the Saviour Rocks website or just typing in paypal.me/Us People podcast. Guys, thank you so much for listening. Stay happy, stay positive, and as always, please continue to be kind to one another.
Time for me to focus. Stop all that playing hocus pocus. Stop doing it yourself. You need a little help. This time I want to see you shining. I think you need
See?
a little.
Okay.
Nice and easy. Cool. Ivy, do I have your number, Ivy?
I think so.
I like the way you said that. I think so.
You know that it's worth it. Because nobody's perfect. Sometimes you need to say, I'm gonna be okay. Okay. Made up my mind, now is my time to shine. Now is my time to shine. Time that you let go, time that you let go. Now is my time to shine. Now is my time to shine. Now is my time to shine. Time that you let go, time that you let go. Now is my time to shine. Time to let it go. Now is my time. Now is my time. Time to let it go. Now is my time. Now is my time. Time to let it go. Now is my time. Now is my time. Time to let it go. You are your own worst enemy. Thinking too far, what's ahead of me? One day at a time. Just enjoy the ride. Open those eyes, see the light. Ignite that fire inside it. Let breathe breath into life. Push all your fears to the side. Control your mind, it's all alright. Enjoy your life, the joy is mine. Commit to you, you got the tools. Everything you do, you make the rules. Sometimes you need